Ryan disliked noise, both the literal and the figurative. He was the kind of man who turned off notifications, who preferred long silences over small talk, who read privacy policies not because he had to, but because they made him feel like the world still had structure. A senior software developer with a deep love for symmetry, Ryan found comfort in logic, in patterns, in things that made sense. His apartment was quiet, filled with the muted tones of soft gray, pale blue, and a single thriving fern. MIA, by every stretch of contrast, was chaos in lipstick, a beauty influencer, a skincare cole, a woman who glowed even under the fluorescence of a drugstore. Her Instagram reels were sun-drenched and curated, but her laughter in real life was bigger, messier, realer. Where Ryan retreated from the world, MIA seduced it. Brands lined up to work with her, not just because she was beautiful, but because she was magnetic. If you stood next to her long enough, you started to believe your life could be shinier too. They met, improbably, during a campaign collaboration. MIA was the face. Ryan was the back-end architect for the app they were launching. She was the image people tapped on. He was the logic behind the scenes. Their first interaction wasn't magical. It was awkward. He corrected her mispronunciation of heuristic in a product briefing. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're lucky you're cute, because you're kind of a buzzkill." And somehow, they just kept talking. They discovered a strange balance. His silence buffered her whirlwind, and her spontaneity cracked open the rigid shell he'd worn for years. She made him laugh. He made her feel safe. That was the equation they built their life on. At least, for a while. Engagement came like a soft launch. A dinner at her favorite rooftop. A vintage ring he had researched for weeks. A nod from the waiter who brought champagne too quickly. She said yes in the middle of a sentence, and then kissed him before he could finish the proposal. They posted a single black and white photo. No hashtags, no ring close-up, just hands, and her caption, "My favorite piece." But peace, as Ryan would come to realize, was not her native language. In the months leading to the wedding, their lives diverged under the pressure of planning and publicity. Mia's calendar ballooned, brand deals, launch parties, bridal features, more collaborations. She did her own makeup for shoots and still managed to squeeze in a reel at golden hour. Ryan tried to be understanding. He managed the logistics, paid deposits, coordinated with vendors. They barely saw each other except in passing, where she'd kiss his cheek and murmur, "I know I've been distant. Just 2 more weeks and we can breathe." But she didn't breathe, not really, not when the Bachelorette party loomed like a social summit. "It's just a night out," she said one evening, peeling off her lashes at the sink. "There's this club, Sable. The DJ's insane, and one of the girls said he might get us into the VIP suite. Nothing wild, just glam." Ryan nodded. "Have fun, just be safe." "I will, trust me." And he did, even when his chest whispered things his mouth never said. Even when he saw the itinerary and noticed it included 3 hours with no phones. Just vibes. Even when she posted a pre-party story with the caption, "Last night as a miss. But I'm still everybody's muse." He smiled at the screen, then locked it. Because love, he believed, was built on trust, on letting people be who they are, even when who they are is a little too loud for your silence. Still, some part of him, deep, buried, cautious, wondered if he had always been the calm before her storm. And that maybe, just maybe, she needed lightning more than she needed stillness. But Ryan didn't confront that thought. He packed her favorite snacks for the next morning, made sure her Uber was pre-booked, sent a quiet text, "Enjoy your night. Come home to me." No reply. The spotlight was calling her again. And Ryan remained, in his own corner of the dark, waiting to see if this time, she'd find her way back through the noise. The club was called Sable, a rooftop enclave wrapped in glass and ego. From the outside, it shimmered like a luxury perfume bottle. From the inside, it pulsed with curated chaos. Every corner was lit for the camera. Every table sold to someone who needed the illusion of exclusivity more than the champagne that came with it. It was the kind of place where time bled under strobes and names didn't matter as long as your following did. Ryan had never set foot in it. But Mia had. Often. She talked about it the way pilgrims talk about sacred ground. The lighting, she'd say, was its own kind of forgiveness. It smooths your skin. You look like the best version of yourself. Even when you're not. She said this once while applying foundation in their shared mirror. She was halfway dressed for another shoot. Her dress unzipped, one heel on, phone angled precariously on a candle jar while recording a GRWM. Ryan had stood behind her, brushing his teeth, wondering what version of her he knew, and whether he'd ever be the one in her spotlight. For the Bachelorette party, there was no debate. Sable was the venue, Nico Saint the crown jewel. A DJ with the kind of clout that turned guest lists into lotteries. Mia had called him her teenage soundtrack back in college. Ryan remembered her voice, tipsy and nostalgic, murmuring that if Nico had walked into the dorms back then, she might have fainted. But lucky for you, she added, with a lazy grin, you walked in first. Ryan hadn't laughed, he'd only nodded, filing the moment away. The night of the party, he didn't pace, he didn't linger over his phone. Instead, he closed his laptop and made himself dinner, roasted vegetables. No distractions. The rain tapped gently at the windows. A soft rhythm of ritual. Of things staying in place. He didn't expect anything. He didn't know what to expect. But when the video came, it arrived not with a scream, but with a whisper stitched into his feed. He didn't look for it. Didn't even know he was the one who needed to see it. It was a duet, one of millions. On the left, the original video, shot in vertical shakiness, the inside of Sable, glittering and loud. The camera swept past champagne flutes and velvet curtains. And then, it caught her. Mia, white dress, rhinestones, head thrown back in laughter. Then Nico Saint appeared beside her, glittering in his designer hoodie and half-smile. He leaned toward her, whispered something. She grinned. She placed a hand on his shoulder. He slid an arm around her waist. They walked behind the DJ booth, into the VIP suite, her head tilted back as if the moment were not unfolding, but repeating. The curtain closed. On the right side of the stitch, a pause. A zoom in on her face mid-laugh. And a voice. Sis, tell me that's not the bride. Ryan stared at the screen. Still, silent. He played it again, this time, muted, watched the weight of her hand, the ease in her movement, the way she leaned in, as if following gravity she'd never truly resisted. This wasn't drunken spontaneity, it wasn't impulsive lust or misunderstood flirting. This was choreography, a muscle memory of something once wanted, perhaps never fully unloved. Ryan didn't feel rage. No roaring beast inside, no urge to throw something, demand something, burn something. What he felt was frost. Not cold, but clean. He didn't reach for his phone, didn't screenshot, didn't forward the video. Instead, he sat back in his chair, the quiet of his apartment wrapping around him like a closing curtain. Mia had once said that silence made her nervous, that it felt like punishment. But to Ryan, silence had always been sanctuary. And now, it was proof. Because clarity doesn't always come in confrontation. Sometimes, it walks in through a back door you forgot to lock. Sometimes, it wears glitter and highlighter and walks behind a velvet rope. He breathed in, long, steady, then whispered to no one. So this is the version of you I never knew. And in that moment, with the screen dark again, Ryan didn't feel broken, just done. Because some betrayals don't knock. They perform. And some heartbreaks don't bleed. They crystallize. It began not with a scandal, but a smirk, a blue checkmark, a trending sound, a reposted TikTok stitched to a voiceover that sneered rather than screamed, "Guess who's not making it to her wedding?" It should have been background noise in the chaos of digital debris, one more ironic clip in an endless scroll of irony. But there, front and center in the video frame, was MIA, white dress, rhinestone straps catching club light like broken promises. Laughing, leaning, letting herself be led into the velvet curtained VIP booth by a man who wasn't her fiancé. By the time Ryan stumbled across the video, it had already grown teeth. The algorithm had wrapped its jaws around it, gnawed through context, and bled it out across platforms. Within hours, it appeared on Twitter, renamed as X but never forgiven, on gossip Reddit threads, on Instagram reels from meme pages that had never heard of MIA until she became clickbait. The irony, she had always wanted to go viral. Just not like this. MIA trended, not as an influencer, but as a parable, not as a person, but as a punchline. Cole gets caught with DJ at her own bachelorette party. Fiancé or fangirl, when the bride forgets she's being watched. The comment sections were battlegrounds dressed in sarcasm. Brand risk level, catastrophic. She fumbled a husband for a hashtag. Clarity filter, but for the soul. A few tried to defend her. Said she was young, that she was drunk, that bachelorettes were meant to be wild. But their voices were buried beneath the swell of digital judgment. MIA was no longer MIA. She was an archetype. Ryan said nothing, not to MIA, not to anyone. He had always believed in architecture, the quiet discipline of designing things meant to last. And now, as her online persona cracked like plaster in an earthquake, he saw no reason to speak. Structures reveal themselves best under stress. She had left her sponsor deck open on the shared desktop. It was a spreadsheet of power, brands she represented, launch dates pending, product lines pre-approved, hashtags ready to be queued. Ryan didn't delete it, he didn't edit, he simply attached the video, 12 seconds. No audio enhancements, no caption, and forwarded it to every brand listed. Subject, no subject. Body, empty. Attachment, truth. The responses came in corporate cadence. Cold and rehearsed. We appreciate the update. We are reassessing this partnership. Our campaign values include respect and responsibility. Effective immediately. We are pausing all promotional activity. Some didn't respond at all. They simply deleted posts, revoked codes, scrubbed images. MIA tried to contain the fallout. She posted a story, eyes red, makeup gone, her voice hushed like a hostage video. It wasn't what it looked like. We were just dancing. I didn't realize it would look like that. She blinked hard, said she'd had too much to drink, said people were blowing it out of proportion, said Ryan was fine. But the internet is never interested in remorse. It wants spectacle. And MIA, once the curator of her own perfect digital stage, was now the lead in a tragedy she hadn't written. Within 72 hours, she'd lost 3 campaigns, 2 ambassadorships, and over 15,000 followers. The silence that followed was not peace. It was exile. People stopped tagging her. Group chats removed her quietly. Even the influencer circles, once buzzing with jealousy and mimicry, recoiled from the taint of scandal. She messaged Ryan once, then twice, then 17 times. No answer, because he understood something she never had, that the loudest statements are sometimes made with absence. MIA had always feared silence. Now, it was all she heard. And Ryan, he didn't rage, he didn't retaliate, he simply stepped off stage, and let her drown in the spotlight she once begged for. Because some images don't need captions. They shatter loud enough on their own. In the glittering world MIA once curated, where angles mattered more than angles of intention. Where branding beat honesty in every game, silence had never been neutral. It was dangerous, in-branded, a thing that could not be spun into content. So when silence came for her, it came not as peace but as punishment. By the 3rd day after the video went viral, Mia's brand partnerships, those pristine digital handshakes sealed by hashtags and conversion rates, began to die. One by one, they folded inward like origami burnt at the edges. Not in chaos, not with fire, but in the clinical coldness of legalese. The first brand, a luxury skincare line that once flew her to Paris, sent a single-line email, "We do not align with controversy." The second brand, a cruelty-free makeup company that MIA had introduced to her followers with teary sincerity, posted a new carousel featuring a replacement model. No mention of MIA. No goodbye, just deletion, as if she had never been their face. The third brand removed her from its ambassador page by noon. No archive, no redirect, just digital amnesia. The fourth sent her management team a formal termination notice, citing Clause 7C, moral compromise and reputational risk. The fifth did not respond at all, not even with silence. It simply scrubbed her from its feed, its website, and its affiliate backend. It was, in effect, a digital exorcism. The Internet, a living thing with blood made of clicks and veins coded by algorithms, continued feeding on her downfall like hyenas on a carcass. TikTokers recreated the infamous video. YouTubers made reaction videos titled, "I can't believe she did this at her own bachelorette party." Reddit threads dissected every frame. Influencer gossip accounts speculated on what Ryan must be feeling. Some turned him into a martyr. Others, ironically, turned MIA into a meme. And MIA, she tried to control the narrative. She posted a story, barefaced, whispering, saying she didn't mean for any of it to look the way it did. That she was drunk, that it was a joke, that Ryan knew her heart. But the comments told a different story. "You're sorry you got caught. This isn't accountability, it's PR. Where's Ryan? I hope he's okay." For someone who had built an empire on transparency, MIA now found herself a prisoner of too much visibility. The influencers who had once collabed with her ghosted. Threads where her name once trended with excitement now pulsed with venom. Affiliate links were quietly removed. Promo codes stopped working. Her image became a liability. But it wasn't the brands or the algorithms that broke her. It was Clara. Clara, who had held her hair after club nights. Clara, who knew the scent of her childhood perfume. Clara, who had once said, "If Ryan ever hurts you, I'll be the one throwing hands." Clara unfollowed her, deleted every picture of them together. No text, no voicemail, just an absence so loud it hollowed Mia's chest. MIA sat in the apartment they used to share, her and Ryan, staring at the broken pieces of herself in a space curated for perfection. The lavender throw blanket, the DSLR ring light still on its tripod, the unopened wedding favors stacked like tombstones on the credenza. She reached for her phone, checked messages, checked DMs, checked analytics. Fewer likes, fewer shares, fewer people who cared. And meanwhile, somewhere just out of reach, Ryan was packing. Deliberate, measured, not in anger, in release. He folded shirts she had gifted him, took only one jacket, slipped a photo of his late grandfather into his laptop sleeve. Then, with surgical stillness, he walked over to the table, placed the torn wedding invitation on a napkin, and wrote one final thing. "Fame is loud, dignity is quiet." He didn't leave a forwarding address, didn't post, didn't text. He walked out, unhurried, and in doing so, became the one thing Mia's empire could not process. Unmonetizable. Later that night, while her notifications burned and her brand manager sent panicked texts with the urgency of a sinking ship, MIA found the note. And for the first time since college, she cried without camera. No filter, no mascara streaked for aesthetic pain. Just her, the silence, and the crumbling of everything she'd confused for permanence. Because some sponsorships buy reach. But the best ones, the rare ones, they can't be bought. And once lost, they don't return. She went live on a Tuesday. The lighting was uneven, her voice shook, for the first time in years. MIA sat in front of her audience with no filter. No pre-written caption, no sponsored glow, just rawness, or what looked like it. I want to talk, not as an influencer, just as me. The live chat exploded. Thousands joined within seconds, some to witness redemption, some to feast on the fallout. "I made a mistake," she said, wiping beneath eyes that had been scrubbed of mascara. "And not just one, I made a pattern of them. I didn't realize what I was risking." But they didn't believe her. Not really. Because when your entire identity has been built on curation, sincerity looks suspicious. Her pauses felt timed, her tears symmetrical, her tone rehearsed. "You're not sorry," one commenter typed. "You're sorry your audience shrank." Another, "Girl, this isn't a confessional, it's damage control." And maybe they were right. Because MIA wasn't apologizing to Ryan. She was apologizing to the algorithm. By the end of the live, over 22.00 viewers had tuned in. But when she ended the stream, she had 14.00 fewer followers. Silence returned. And this time, it was complete. Across the country, in a town that didn't care for trends or taglines, Ryan sat on a wooden bench outside a coastal coffee shop. A seagull picked at breadcrumbs beneath his feet. The ocean rolled and pulled like the slow breathing of a world too old to be shocked by anything. He sipped his black coffee, opened his notebook, and began to write. You don't need fame to be loved, right? Choose peace over applause. No one looked at him. No one asked who he was. No one knew that he had once stood inches away from a wedding that never happened. That he had once built a life in the background of someone else's spotlight. And that was the beauty of it. There was no performance here. Just a man, a shoreline, and the gentle, holy quiet of moving on. Later that evening, he returned to his rented room, a simple one-bedroom above a bookstore. He cooked pasta, listened to jazz, watched the sunset bleed orange across the sea. He hadn't posted in weeks. Deleted his old social profiles. Archived every photo, every DM, every trace of her voice in his digital life. But he hadn't deleted the last note she left him, handwritten. Scrawled in panic on hotel stationery the night after everything exploded. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I loved you, I really did." He read it once more, then tucked it between the pages of his notebook. Not as a keepsake, as a reminder that love, without truth, is not love. And that sometimes, the most powerful things we do are the things no one sees. A voiceover might say, "Some people want to be seen by the world. I just wanted to be seen by the one I loved." And maybe he had been, once. But now, he saw himself, and it was enough. The story closes with Ryan on that same bench, a steaming cup beside him. As the waves roll in, no spotlight, no applause, only peace. And the quiet promise that not all endings are losses. Some are escapes, finally heard. And sometimes, walking away isn't silence, it's clarity.